Hey everyone, welcome back to the Sunday Drive. You might notice we're in a little bit of a different scenery today. It's my mother's E39 wagon. My car is about to have the transmission pull out of it. More on that in a future video. So then, what are we doing in this car today? I am going to go ahead and review this car since I now have a new car to play with. Courtesy of my mother, she's letting me borrow it for a couple of weeks, given that my car is not going to be with me for a little while. So what that'll be is kind of my general overview of it, some positives, some negatives, and then I'll conclude it up, give my honest opinion what I think about this car and just the E39 chassis in general. So to start off, go ahead and talk about the obvious thing, being this is a 5 Series, is it is very comfortable. I mean, you just glide over all the bumps in this car. I mean, obviously that's the point of it. It's a 5 Series. And coming from a E36 with modified suspension, this car really rides like a dream. And in that respect, it's also very quiet. Obviously there's a little bit of noise you might hear because the door seals in this particular one, they're not awful, but they've seen better days. And definitely the windshield gasket needs to be replaced on this one. It doesn't leak water, but you definitely hear wind noise on the highway from that. But I've driven other E39s, so this is going to be kind of a more general overview. So obviously it's quiet, it's comfortable, it's a 5 Series. You know, you kind of expect that when you buy one. If you do buy a crappy one, it might not be that as good, because, you know, any car with worn out suspension, no matter how good it was when it was new, is going to ride like crap and make noise. This one is very dialed in though. Another thing I like about this car is the styling. Especially this one, I think it's kind of cool. I mean, this color is gorgeous, and the fact that it's a wagon makes it also pretty cool. You don't see a lot of E39 wagons very often, especially in kind of a cool color combo. You know, the green on tan, very European color set. I don't know if I've seen a lot of American cars or Japanese cars in this color combo. It's very nice, especially even in the inside. I mean, it's very clean, and it just looks nice. I mean, honestly, this car is definitely a relic of its era. You can tell, I mean, especially in the center console here, it's a lot older. You get CD player, 6 CD changer in the dashboard, which doesn't really work on this one. It only has 1, but it's normally in a working car it would be 6. And then obviously you get your cover that goes over that, and you know, all sorts of other stuff. It's a really cool car. It looks nice, and it's definitely starting to become a collector's item of sorts. Something else I really like about this car is it's very reminiscent of an E36. I joked with my friend once that the E39 is just an E36 and a tuxedo and a hat, because that's what it is. I mean, look at the steering wheel. Compare it to an E36 steering wheel, like the same, like 4-spoke, the later style. I mean, besides the buttons, they're the same wheel. Like, it's the same part, especially a lot of these plastics and things. Obviously, it's a little more updated, like even the door switches and the center console especially, it looks more modern, but they use the same plastic. There's the same general look. Gauge clutch is very similar, and more similar than that of the E46 from the E36, which makes sense because this car came out first, right? So that part's kind of cool. Now I'm going to get into some things that are maybe not so good about this car. One of which we're going to start off with, in classic BMW fashion, the cup holders really stink in this car. I mean, these particular ones are broken, but these break all the time. There is a piece, almost like 2 pieces. It kind of folds out, and then you got a piece that like curves around, and that piece will break off, so then it won't click back in properly, and your cup holders kind of hang out, and they definitely look broken. There's no way to close them. You just have to replace them. That sucks. And even when they are working, they don't hold your drink at all. At least in the E36 cup holders, if you can fit a drink in there, it'll stay in. Like, you can, like a small drink or like a water bottle, it'll stay in the cup holder. These, no way. You shouldn't trust it at all. You put them away, don't use them, they're not there. That is the only way you can ever keep E39 cup holders in working condition. Put them away. They're not there. Don't use them. My buddy's car, he also has an E39, 528. It's a stick, not as great a condition, but that car, he's put drinks in there on every time. Every time it takes off or any kind of sudden movement, your drink just falls over, it spills everywhere, and makes your center console all gross and sticky from whatever drink you had. But that's what you deserve, because you decided that you would want to drink in your BMW, which you should never do. This car is about driving, so you should drive it. Not doing silly little things such as keeping drinks in your cup holders. What are you, a plebeian? Yeah. Go take that one to I don't know, wherever you're gonna take this car. Something else that's not so good about this car is a lot of the trim and things tend to crack. Maybe it's more of a combination E39s, because like I'm gonna mainly single out the wood trim here. Maybe it's more of a combination E39s because more of them came with wood, but the wood tends to crack over time and you get like, this one's actually fine. Definitely centerpiece here, I keep pointing at it, but I'm not saying anything. Centerpiece here is a big crack. Over on that door card over there, there's 2 cracks. It's just kind of like, you know, what you get out of old wood. And I don't even know if that's real wood. Like, it's like laminate or something. It's got some kind of clear coat on it. I'm not sure what that is, but it doesn't look awful, but it's just kind of one of those things. It's like, definitely, if you're gonna buy one, stuff like that's gonna be broken, it's gonna be cracked. You know, a little trim around the car. The general, like, vents, I don't know why I blanked. The vents on this car look pretty good. They're like this specific car, they're in good condition. And when they're in good condition, it looks nice. I mean, obviously this whole car looks nice. But like my buddy's car, he's got his center vent, it's got a broken piece off of it, and that's so common with these because it is so brittle and everything breaks off. I don't know why it's more of an issue on these than on like the E36, which is what I'm used to. But I mean, it really just, the stuff just breaks off so easily. And then obviously you got this plastic here is all sticky and everything from being used over the years, and then the ashtray as well. I mean, it really doesn't want to open. I mean, like, yeah, just leave it closed. It looks fine when it's closed. Just kind of little things like that. Obviously, those things are fixable. They're not that big of a deal, but it's just something to consider if you're going to go buy an E39, because those parts aren't cheap. These cars aren't cheap to own. Something else I don't like about this E39 is it is an automatic. I'm just kidding. Actually, just kind of a side note here, the automatic transmission in this car is pretty good for what it is. So like, older BMWs come with a 4-speed automatic, and actually earlier E39s come with a 4-speed as well. That transmission is pretty friggin' slow. It shifts slow, it's got long gears because it's a 4-speed, and you really, I don't know why anyone would have gotten that over a 5-speed back then. And that computer will tell you, various functions. Well, what's cool about this car, a little turn here, it's a little slippery out, you might have noticed it's raining, but obviously it'll tell you various information like your gas mileage, what temperature it is outside, things like that. Well, in this car, instead of having a separate computer, it's in the gauge cluster, which is really cool. Obviously you have on your turn signal stock, there's a button at the end, BC. I honestly have no idea what that stands for, but you click it and it'll scroll through various functions in the cluster, which is just kind of a nice little touch. And then obviously you can shut it off if you go through enough of them. But just things like that. This car is definitely more refined than a lot of the older BMWs. This is by far the last of the era. The last of the era of classic BMWs, because the E60 after this, yeah, iDrive is completely different, completely transformed. So this is definitely the end of the line for this like style of BMW. Another benefit to this car is obviously it's a BMW, so you get front engine rear wheel drive, and what's cool about BMWs is usually, like, even their economy cars like this, I mean, not really an economy car, but it's just a normal sedan, right? Or wagon in this case, is they give you an engine that, if driven normally, is fine, gets good gas mileage, just can drive. But if you want to rev it out, you get a little bit, right? I mean, I'm only going maybe almost half throttle, but it's quick. I mean, now we're going 60, right? It's kind of cool. And obviously, in that respect, it's fun to drive. You can take turns. Obviously, it's no M car, right? You're not winning any races, but you don't have to because you have a nice car, right? You show up to your school parking lot, or if you're older, show up to a BMW meet in a cool color, E39 wagon in good shape. Everyone's impressed. Like, it's a cool car, right? You don't have to go fast. It handles good. It's fun to drive. It's cool. I mean, what more do you really need out of a car? I mean, my mother bought this car for less than $4 grand, and she put probably about that into it. But for under $10,000 to have a sorted E39 and a cool spec, like, you know, what's not to like? And that's the thing about these cars. Like, you don't need, I mean, obviously you want more power, buy 540 or whatever, but you don't need to go super fast. You don't have to. You don't have to assert your dominance. You're driving a 5 Series, right? It's already a cool car. You know, just enjoy it. So to kind of wrap this video up, this car, it's pretty cool. Obviously, it's a different car from my M3, obviously. Not used to it, but I love this car. Honestly, like, I'll probably have E39s in my future. I love an M5. But something like this, just like a nice station wagon that I could go road trip somewhere, I mean, I could probably drive 10 hours in this car. It really is just comfortable. It's a good drive. I've had it on a few back roads. I mean, obviously not really going to push it that hard. It's not my car. But, you know, it's fun. It takes turns. Honestly, there's not really anything bad to say about this car, except for maybe the maintenance. But if you're buying a 5 Series, that kind of comes with the game. I mean, it's a 3 Series engine, so the maintenance isn't that bad engine-wise, but suspension, brakes, stuff, that it really does add up. So that is something to consider. But overall, it's a really good car. I wouldn't hesitate to hop in one of these things and drive it a really long time. And this car especially, I mean, it's really cool. You can take it to BMW shows, do whatever you want with it. But anyway, if you watched this whole video and you enjoyed it, like, subscribe, you know, leave a comment down below. What do you think of the E39? Do you like it? Are there any other BMWs you guys like more? Let me know in the comments. I read and respond to basically all of them because, you know, they only get so many. But with that said, I'll see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye, everyone.